السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. مستر أحمد. مستر أحمد. ألو. طيب الزنة أخبارها إيه بتاعت كل مرة؟ إيه الأخبار؟ النهاردة في speaking session. الصوت عامل إيه؟ كويس ولا لسه في زنة؟ لو الزنة موجودة هنعمل زي المرة اللي فاتت؟ طب تمام؟ أوكي. نتوكل على الله. Let's start. في زنة برضه رجعت تاني. نبدأ ولا من غير زنة؟ طيب أوكي ماشي. طيب TOEFL speaking مستر مدحت عباس. academic professional training. لسه الزنة موجودة. speaking skill, one of the skills. بتبدأ طب أنا مظبط المايك زي المرة اللي فاتت بالظبط. عطشان بقى. أقلل تاني. أقلل تاني. كده كويس؟ الصوت كده كويس ولا مازال في نفس الزنة؟ أنا بتكلم أهو. عملت أدجست للمايك من هنا ومن أحسن يعني ممكن نشتغل كده. أوكي. How are you doing, everybody? I hope that you're fine. Today, we're gonna talk about another skill in the TOEFL IBT exam preparation, which is speaking. Of course, previously, we've gone through the reading skill, and we knew that it's very important in your exam, and also the strategies that you work it on. I believe it's going to be here different strategies, but we're going to use one in common. We're going to know right now, so let's start our session today, the TOEFL speaking. Of course, once we're going to talk about the TOEFL speaking area or TOEFL speaking skill, let's talk about this, that students should be able to speak successfully in and outside the classroom. The speaking section measures the test taker's ability to speak effectively in academic settings. In classroom, for example, students must respond to questions, participate in academic discussions with other students, synthesize the and summarize what they have read in their textbooks and heard in class, express their views on topics under discussion, and outside the class, the students must participate in casual conversation, okay, I was saying that outside the class, students must participate in casual conversations, express their opinions, communicate with people in such places as the bookstore, the library, and the housing office. So, to talk about the speaking section, my dear followers everywhere, it's approximately 20 minutes long and includes 6 tasks. So 20 minutes, 6 tasks. The first 2 tasks are independent speaking. I mean independent speaking tasks on topics familiar to test takers. Okay, something which is familiar to you. The topics themselves are familiar to you. They ask the test takers or you to draw upon their own ideas, opinions, and experiences when responding. However, test takers can respond with any idea, opinion, or experience relevant to completing the task. So you need just to talk about this very briefly. You don't need to exaggerate. You don't need, for example, to be sophisticated. Just as the Americans say, kiss. I don't mean the meaning of the word kiss itself, but the Americans say all the time kiss. Keep it simple and stupid, which means don't be sophisticated. Try just to simplify it and make it easy on yourself. Also, the remaining 4 tasks are independent tasks, where test takers must use more than one skill when responding. Test takers first read and listen, and then speak in response. They can take notes. Remember my strategy, taking notes. We're going to have a video right now to talk about this because this is very important. We're responding to the speaking tasks. So at least one requires test takers to relate the information from the reading and listening materials, for example. Like all the other sections of the TOEFL IBT, the speaking section is delivered via computer. So also it's IBT. For all the speaking tasks, test takers use headset, okay, like this, with a microphone, like that. Test takers speak into the microphone to record their responses. Responses are digitally recorded and sent to ETS online scoring network, where they are scored by certified raters. Of course, they grade you. Anyway, as you know that it's not face-to-face task, but in this case, what we can say here that self-confidence plays an important role. If you're not self-confident, if you're not self-confident enough, you will lose a lot. You need to talk properly. You need to talk in a clear voice without any kind of hesitation, without any kind of dead air, without, no. We need fluency. And of course, we're going to work on that right now and to know how to improve all of this stuff. But let me start by a video. As you can see, this video is very important in taking notes. Okay, you will go there, watch the video, and then you will be back to me.
Welcome to the English Simple Notes video. In this particular video, we're going to go over the 2 main structures for note-taking on the TOEFL IBT. With the English Simple program, when you learn these note structures and apply them to the test, it's going to make your test so much easier. So it's very, very important that we learn and we master this particular lesson. Now, the most important thing with your note-taking on the TOEFL IBT is that your notes be simple and that they be consistent. Consistent means to do the same thing over and over again. The idea is that Once you learn how to do the notes, you will always do the same notes for every single question and every single section of the TOEFL IBT. It's really the key to mastering the TOEFL, consistent and simple notes. Now, the note-taking strategy that we're going to teach is useful on all 4 sections of the TOEFL IBT. There's 2 main types of notes, only 2, so it's pretty simple. And the 2 note structures, the first one we're going to talk about is very good for both the speaking and the writing section. And that note structure is what we call the outline structure. The outline structure has this format. There's a main idea, and then you have supporting ideas or examples which support that main idea. Let me make it a little bit more simple. Let's say that you're at a party and someone is telling you something, a story, or that they like pizza. It'd be very, very easy to keep track of that information because it's coming from one source. For this kind of a situation, we use the outline structure because there's only one source of information. Now, let's say you're at a party and you talk to a lot of people and they're all telling you different things. It would be very, very difficult to keep all that information straight because there's so many different sources of information. When there's more than one source of information, we use what's called the column format. The column format is a way to keep track of different sources of information. For example, on speaking question 5, there's different sources of people talking. There's also you, where you give your opinion. So speaking question 5 is actually a combination of the column and the outline structure. Let's go ahead and review. The 2 note structures for the TOEFL IBT are the outline format, which is for single sources of information. You have a main idea, and then supporting ideas or examples. Remember the party situation. The second format is the column format, where you have multiple sources of information, or a lot of people at the party, all talking to you. Simple, right? Now let's go ahead and try it out.
I do believe that this video was very useful in taking notes. Now let me talk about some speaking tips which are very important for you before starting directly to the questions. The best way to practice speaking is with native speakers of English. If you don't live in an English-speaking country, so finding native speakers of English might be quite challenging. In some countries, there are English-speaking tutors or assistants who help the students with conversation skills and overall communication skills. It's critical to find them and speak with them as often as possible. Another way to practice speaking is by joining an English club whose members converse in English about movies, music, and travel. If a club does not exist in your area, start one and invite native speakers to help you to get started. So we have to do such a kind of innovative ideas how to get involved in the speaking activity very quickly. Remember also that we're going to start talking about the independent speaking tasks. Let me start with question 1 and 2. Question 1 and 2, independent tasks. Of course, with such kind of independent speaking tasks, you need to make a list of topics that are familiar and practice speaking about them. This is for you as one of the tips. You can describe a familiar place or recount a personal experience. Later, state an opinion of a preference and present clear. Detail the reasons for it. Make recommendation and explain why it is the best way to proceed. Practice giving 1 minute response to topics. All these tips are very important once you're going to start the independent speaking tasks with questions 1 and 2. So what to do? Structure your response. Use transition words to guide your listener in a logical, organized way. So you can use connectors, you can use words that connect ideas together. You can start by, first of all, secondly, previously, we can say, to sum up, in order just to transfer between your words in a very logical way to the listener. Of course, as I mentioned before, self-confidence is very important. It's not face-to-face, however, or anyway, it's tested over the mic itself. Once you do have this experience, you do have such a kind of self-confidence, you do have such kind of discipline, organization or not. Use clear English in a confident, as I've just mentioned now, expressive way. Simplicity is powerful. So give 2 or 3 reasons to develop your response and to avoid going around and around only one point. One of the most important issues that faces the test takers that they repeat themselves. Of course, you do have a certain amount of time. You have 45 seconds to talk about the topic. So some people believe that if they're gonna talk for 45 seconds, they will give the high score. It's not such an idea. It's not just a matter of talking without an aim, you know. You're wondering without an aiming while you're talking. You need just to be specific. You need to be organized, as I've mentioned. You need to talk about something in details, somehow in details, and not to repeat yourself. For example, you're going to talk about friendship. So don't say friendship is good. And then later on, I believe that friendship is something better or the best thing in our life. And later on, I believe one of the most important things in our life is friendship. No, this is repeating yourself. Okay, it's just wasting time. Okay, but the most important thing is just to develop the idea. If you're gonna, for example, talk about friendship, you need to talk about why friendship is important. This is one thing. The characteristics or the traits for choosing the best friend. Who is your best friend? You can mention also some of the situation between you and your best friend. 3 or 4 points like that, well covered. It's going to cover the time of 45 seconds in a very good way. Speak at an even pace. Pace means speed. It's better to slow down and be completely understood rather than rush and close points because the examiner cannot understand your words. Even if you are high fluent, you need just to slow down and make your tempo slower. For example, I waited for you yesterday, but you didn't come. Oh, what happened? This was a sentence? Yes, it was a sentence. But you need to slow down and calm down and slow your tempo. You can say, I waited for you yesterday, but you didn't come. This is the same sentence, but look at the first tempo. Okay, you still remember it? I waited for you yesterday, but you didn't come. And this one, I waited for you yesterday, but you didn't come. Okay, so there is a difference. Once you keep this pace, okay, you keep this tone also. This is very important. Your tone should be clear, okay, and also avoid the monotone. What I mean by monotone, for example, we're going to talk about describe the best football match that you watch it, okay. So if you're going to start describing like that, okay, last week there was a match between Barca and Juve. No, of course, don't do that. This kind or this model is refused completely. You need to be more, more active than this. You have to change your tone, okay? Oh, yesterday there was a match between Barca and Juve. I like Barca very much, okay? I'm one of their fans, okay? I watched this match with my friends. But actually what happened in the match, look at the tone. The tone, it changes according to the situation itself. Or you should use your intonation. Of course, you're familiar with this kind of term, intonation. The way you say a certain sentence. Of course, you cannot see the person who is talking. If I am the grader, if I'm the exam grader, of course, I will grade you by your voice. So your voice says something. Your voice delivers to me a certain message. If you're confident enough, if you can change your tone, if you have enthusiasm when you talk, so I can grade you with high score. If it is not so, you will lose. Remember, this is very, very important part. So say the endings of words fully, especially for the plural, because this is very important. Once you talk, you need to utter the plurals in a very good way, fully. Okay, I'm talking about videos. Okay, it's different from, for example, cameras. It's different from finished, because the examiner wants to listen to that just to know how is your pronunciation. He wants to test your pronunciation, your accent. This is very important. What else? We said the fluency, the accuracy of the sentences. All these stuff are very important in this test, and they increase your score in such a task, in such a speaking test. I'm talking about the independent test, especially with question 1 and 2, and also there can be applicable on all other tasks in the exam itself. Why not to do things that you shouldn't do? Do not waste time rephrasing the question. Rephrasing the question. I mean, re-explain it again to yourself. The examiner already knows what the question is. So don't think that it's a trick to waste the time. For example, as I mentioned, the example of friendship. Friendship is good. I know that friendship is one of the most important things in our life. No. Such a kind of repetition in the secondary school, forget about it, because it doesn't work here in this area. So avoid using words which are difficult to pronounce. As I mentioned, kiss. Keep it stupid and simple. Keep it stupid and simple. Don't be sophisticated. Okay? Okay, I know a lot of vocabulary. I know a lot of items and I want to express them over the mic. Just the exam taker, the exam maker, or the examiner knows that I'm very good and he can get me a high score. No, it doesn't work. Don't be sophisticated. Don't exaggerate your language. Just be simple. Just be simple. Use simple words, simple structures of sentences, and clear voice, clear tone. That's it. So, you will waste time in correcting yourself if you cannot say the words easily. For example, like what is happening right now. Once we're talking together, we might have some mistakes when we talk. But I'm correcting them because they're important for me, because I want the message to be completely perfect to my followers. But in the exam, for example, if you add to the verb S and it doesn't need to add S while you okay, go ahead. Because if you stop and recorrect yourself, what will happen? Yes, I can hear it right there. Yeah, you will waste time and you will lose time, of course. And this will affect the time of expressing yourself in such a kind of questions. So once you dropped, okay, go ahead. Go ahead and complete. Don't stop and try to, oh no, this is wrong. I want to complete myself. I want to correct myself very quickly. I want to complete in a very good way. Okay, the very good way will occur when you go ahead and resume your talking directly without any kind of stoppage. So here, for example, say chance instead of opportunity. Yes, you use the word which is not suitable. Okay, anyway, if you say chance instead of opportunity or vice versa, it doesn't matter. You can go ahead and complete. Also, do not use higher level vocabulary or idioms unless you're 100% sure of the meaning, because this is very important. Some of the students, before the exam, they are crazy about getting new vocabulary. Remember that they do have like 2 or 3 days, and they start to open the dictionary, trying to look up for new vocabulary, which are very difficult. Why? Because I want to get high score. As I mentioned, it doesn't work. Okay? If you're not 100% sure of these words, you practice on them. I mean practicing on vocabulary to know the word, to know how to pronounce it, to know when you pronounce it, to use it in a sentence. All this stuff means practicing on vocabulary. Without this, of course, you don't know anything about vocabulary, because vocabulary here in this way or in this area won't be useful. Because if you just memorize words without knowing how to pronounce them accurately, how to use them in sentences, if you listen to them, you cannot identify them, so they're useless. So the perfect use of vocabulary, to know them 100%, to know the meaning of them, using them in a sentence, to know how to pronounce them, to pronounce or utter them perfectly.